Started. Welcome to the 5th week of Tech Tips Live. Tech Tips Live is the weekly series that we're going to be doing to kind of train everybody and keep you up to date on the technology here available at K-State. Every week it'll be 3 p.m. on Wednesdays, and we will be recording these sessions. Right now you should be seeing the website that we have created. On the website we have a little tutorial of what each week will be, and past weeks we will post the recordings there, so if you miss any of the tech tip sessions you can always go back here and watch the video. A few housekeeping items. I have muted everybody's microphones. So if you have any questions at any time, please feel free to send those in over the chat. We will try to save those questions until the end of the presentation today. But you can go ahead and send them over the chat at any time. At the end, we'll open it up for questions. And if anybody wants to ask a question live, feel free to unmute your microphone at that time. So I think at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop my screen share and pass it off to today's presenter, Scott Finkeldye over in OME. Scott, go ahead and take it away. Oh, still unmuted, Scott, so go ahead and unmute.
Yep, I guess I assumed you were going to unmute me. Sorry about that. Hi, I'm Scott Finkeldye, and I appreciate you all taking the time to join me today. I want to talk about Scantron, as you know. And the things that I want to do today are to especially make sure that I leave time to answer as many questions as possible. I'm looking over here because I want to start my timer to make sure that I don't ramble on too much into the session. So again, I want to make sure that I leave time for this because Scantron has been in a bit of a state. So let me start with a State of the Union situation here. And if anyone has a question about this part of it before we get even into a bit of the demo, then please let me know. As you all probably know, in K-State Online Classic, we had a sort of fully realized version of Scantron that supported all the features that people at K-State needed to use. And when we made the transition to Canvas for the new engine for K-State Online, we began work immediately on making Scantron available in K-State Online Canvas. And we have gone through a series of half steps or partial implementations. We are on version 3.0 now, which is to imply that this is the 4th actual version that we've built. And so some of you have literally used several different versions of Scantron in K-State Online Canvas up to this point, and we're about to ask you to switch to sort of the final one, so to speak. What we have been doing for this semester, let me back up and say quickly that the project goal and the intended timeline was to have Scantron fully complete by October of last year of 2015. We missed that deadline rather dramatically, and in January of this year, we released a version of Scantron. And the short story is that there were some plans that we made to build Scantron in a very specific way that were good, but then we realized a better way, basically, and so we had to kind of scrap what we had done and start over. But the better way has proven to be better for a variety of reasons, some of which we'll discuss as we look at the demo. So we are very behind, and then in January of this year, we released a version that we called Scantron 2.5, and it is in many of your courses today labeled Scantron parentheses previous. And we will talk about that here in a moment in detail as we again look at how Scantron works. But that is the sort of the outgoing version, and also in K-State Online Canvas is a version of the tool just called Scantron, and that is the most current version, and that is what I will demo today. But I will also talk about the Scantron previous version to talk about what it brings to the table, why it's still around, and what's happening to that. Any questions or comments at this point? Okay, thank you. All right, so diving on into the specifics here. So with K-State Online Scantron, there are basically 4 major features, and that is the ability to manage an answer key, the ability to create the, to add the the file from the scanned results of the cards and have that graded against the answer key, the ability for you to resolve conflicts within the data set. For example, people with mismarked WIDs on their card or bad answer set for some reason. And then finally, the ability for you to release those results to your students and manage that, and for you to see the analytics and statistics of that. The tool called Scantron Previous met the first two requirements, but not the last two. Scantron Previous, as I'm sure many of you are well aware, does not provide you any analytics of your students' responses, nor does it provide you a way to return the responses back to the students with or without the answer key. And that's what, of course, Scantron 3.0 does bring to the table. And again, that is out there now, and that's what we're going to look at in just a moment. However, when we put Scantron 3.0 out there, and we got that out there in the second week of January, so right as classes were starting, we immediately took it to some of our most vocal Scantron constituency. And by vocal, I mean people who have been very interested in helping us and making sure that it does all the right things. And we worked through it with them. We actually gave the first round of exams in many of these courses, including large 800 enrollment, chemistry courses, for example. And we were able to gather a significant amount of feedback about things that could be improved. We, of course, hoped that the version we released in January would be not need a ton of changes, but the feedback was very good and very significant. And so we have now spent the time since January understanding those changes, continuing to meet with people and gather more feedback and build a prioritized list and to start implementing those changes. So my expectation at the moment is that by the end of March, at the latest, we will have all of this work done, and the version of Scantron in K-State Online Canvas will be the complete version of Scantron that does everything that everyone needs, all those four major things, of course, but as well as where we are now is dealing with. But in our class, we used those four things this way, and we're understanding all those nuances, finding all those issues, and trying to bring those to bear on our improved changes to Scantron. Of course, we have not met with everyone. We're not even always aware of everyone who uses Scantron. So let me take this opportunity to say that we are very interested in everyone's feedback about how they use and work with Scantron, not just the people that we have already engaged for whatever variety of reasons that we worked with them. I am very interested in hearing from everyone and understanding how we can ensure that Scantron meets your needs. And to that end, I have been going out and trying to meet with individuals or entire departments or cohorts of instructors to both show them the new version of Scantron and to take their feedback and to let them know where things are at the moment. So again, if you are interested in engaging me or know of any of your peers that are interested in engaging me, please make my information, this presentation and my contact information available, and I'll be very happy to work with them. Okay, so let's talk about what Scantron Previous does. I'm going to show you this, how it works, and then how Scantron Current, the one just called Scantron, how that works, what it does, and what things are still being worked on that will be ready by the end of March. So I'm going to share my screen. Again, if anyone's got any questions, now is a fine time. But you, of course, can hold them to the end, as I believe it sort of says in the procedure for this. Okay, so pardon me, let me get my toolbar out of the way here, I guess. How do I make that go away? All right, well, not sure how to make that go away, so I guess I'll just move my screen around. All right, so first let's start how you turn the Scantron tool on. If you have a course in K-State Online, you go to the settings for that course, the settings on the lower left of the course navigation, and there's a navigation tab in the middle. And this is where you turn on or off the tools that you want to use in your course. And there are two versions of Scantron. Please ignore this one that's labeled Scantron Dev. That's one that I specifically have. There are two versions of Scantron available in the tools list, Scantron Previous and Scantron. Both of these are able to be used today by instructors, and many people are using Scantron Previous still, I will say, because that's the one they were using last semester, and they had no reason to come turn on this other one. So that's how you enable the tool. So let me start with Scantron Previous. As I mentioned, Scantron Previous is still out there. It's available for people to use today. And what it does not do is provide you analytics over or statistics over the results of your assignment, particularly the item analysis, which is most important to people. And it does not provide you with a way to return the results to the students electronically. Those are both very critical functions and something that almost everyone needs. So the fact that they weren't there in 2.5 was obviously known to us, but we just are still working through those issues. So what does 2.5 do well, and why are people continuing to still use it? One of the things that 2.5 does well is it allows you a very easy and well understood method of setting up your answer key online. And that is the way that the old Scantron and K-State Online Classic worked. So that was the paradigm, the workflow that people were not only used to, but were expecting in the new version of Scantron and K-State Online Canvas. And the reality is we, based on feedback from people, we had made some changes to that, but that has turned out to be more impactful than we might have initially thought. So one of the great things about Scantron Previous, as I'm about to show you, is creating the answer key was pretty straightforward. And I'm going to select this real quick so I can, sorry, I'm going to save this file and then select that real quick. Sorry. But I gotta find it. That'd be smart. Wait. Let me stick it out on my desktop real quick. I think, yeah, it's like I said, it was in my Dropbox. Sorry for my confusion there real quick. Okay. All right, so I'm going to select that and make that part of my file here. And so I'm just doing some quick setup. I'm not intending to demo that as much as I want to show you this screen here. So this version of Scantron allowed people to define their answer key by indicating the number of questions they had and how many versions they had. And then they could come in here and simply say, define the answer key set as is relevant, indicate the point value, and indicate how the questions might be scored. And that was very easy. That's quick, that's simple, and it's especially useful if you've already delivered the paper Scantron and you think about the goal of the Scantron tool, which of course is what it is for many people, is I've delivered a paper Scantron that I made. However, it doesn't really matter, you guys, how I made it. I just made it, IT. So I've delivered that, and now I want to come back and I want to tell you what the answer key is to grade against this. And that's the way Scantron has always worked, and here it is doing that. So what people liked was this ease of creating the answer key, and we're going to bring that into the new Scantron 3.0, because I'm going to show you here now that in Scantron 3.0, this is not the way that you generate the answer key. One might argue that the way you generate the answer key in the Scantron 3.0 is just as takes as little time, it is as quick as this, but it is more steps and it is harder to understand, especially initially. So that has tripped a lot of people up, that has caused a lot of people to have problems, and we are committed to bringing back this bubble answer key creation interface that you see here, and that's what we're working on now to bring this back into Scantron 3.0, because that is probably the #1 request we've gotten from across all of the feedback is, this is all well and good, Scott, the new Scantron 3.0 does lots of great things, and it is an improvement in these ways, but I will tell you where it is not an improvement, Scott. It is more difficult for me to create my answer keys, and that is something that I want to do quickly and accurately and just get it done. So again, that's a critical piece of response that we've heard and we're working on. So I'm highlighting that here with Scantron 2.5. Let me wrap up Scantron 2.5 by saying this. We intend to keep it around for the rest of the semester and also through this summer semester. And that will allow people that are using this currently to make the transition from this tool into the newer version of Scantron, which again will have this bubble sheet creation option, but works a little bit differently, as you'll see in a second. And that's the part that people did not have time to adjust to or get used to, because we did not make Scantron available until January of 2016, and therefore they had no time to learn, understand, or try to be able to learn or understand the new version of Scantron. There's one other detail besides this bubble answer sheet. Well, there's two other details. It also did this visual representation of the cards, and a lot of instructors have told us that that made troubleshooting problems a lot easier. So we'll also bring this back. This isn't quite as complicated to bring back, so that will definitely be there as well. You will have the ability to see a view, a virtual electronic view of the cards to help you troubleshoot problems, and you will have the ability to create your answer keys this way. The third thing that is unique about our old version of Scantron is the way that it allowed you to do this partial grading. So accept exact answers, give credit for partially correct answers, award points for any single selected response. That third one there is the one that is not handled well in the new version of Scantron and K-State Online Canvas. And that is because we are using, as you will see in just a moment, we're leveraging Canvas's way of grading instead of creating our own separate way of grading. And they do not do this kind of partial point awarding. They have partial points, but they do it a little bit differently. So we have heard from several instructors, and I suspect there are a few more out there that use this very specific type of grading. And it is the case that the current version of Scantron, the current version of Scantron and K-State Online, and the way that we are utilizing it with Canvas does not support this option. So the other reason we are leaving this version around through the summer is to allow and to work with the instructors who do this kind of points awarding to find alternatives or to redesign some of the questions in their assessments to do this so that they still work fine and meet their academic goals. So that is the third detail. We have not found a huge amount of people that impacts, but it impacts enough people that it matters, of course, and we want to make sure that we address that. So with our inability to address it very directly, we are going to keep this Scantron previous version around through the summer to allow people to do that. And we will work with those people. So again, if you know anyone who uses this type of grading or you believe will be concerned about the partial grading in Scantron, I would like to speak with them and understand their needs and work to accommodate those. Okay, I'm going to leave Scantron 2.5 and go to Scantron 3.0, or what we just call Scantron, because I want to spend the rest of the time here to explain that and then make sure I still leave time for questions, which is about 5 more minutes. So, okay, so the way that the new Scantron works, first of all, is very well explained, or at least hopefully very well explained here in this Help Using Scantron. So the very first point I want to make is, before you even try to use Scantron, I would encourage you to go to the tool and click on this Help Using Scantron. Or you can go to the K-State Online website. I'm at online.ksu.edu. And here on this website, there's a Tools section. And in here is Scantron. And this is the exact help that we are pointing to inside of K-State Online as well. This link here, Help Using Scantron, will show you this page. This page is where we keep the currently updated information about Scantron. This is where when we fix a bug or make a change, the documentation, the help will be updated. And so I want to go through a little bit of this and click through the interface, and then we'll take your questions. So the first really important thing that is different about this new Scantron is it encourages you to start by building a quiz in K-State Online first. And this is sort of advantage number one, is that you're just building a regular quiz, the same kind of quiz that you would build in K-State Online Canvas for any type of online assessment. And that is a benefit, at least a perceived benefit, in that you don't have to learn two different ways to manage your quizzes. You can build a quiz here, or you can build a quiz here and use it as a Scantron. Now that benefit has been effectively negated at the moment, because as you just saw me show the bubble answer key creation interface, most people are still thinking about it as deliver the paper version first, then come back to my office and make an answer key at that time to process my results file against. And what we want to encourage people to do is go to K-State Online first, create the quiz that you want to use for the Scantron, and then you can let the Scantron tool do one of the parts of the job for you. Previously, many instructors opened up Microsoft Word and then created version 1. And then they made a second Word document and they manually scrambled their questions around in order to make a second version. And then they might have made a third version. And then they printed those and delivered those in the classroom. If you make the quiz in K-State Online first, you can make a single version, and then you can tell the Scantron tool to scramble it into into 2 or 3 versions, and so it'll handle that job for you. And then it will also allow you to print those multiple versions, and then you can modify those to add your own headers or your own anti-cheating statement or anything else you might want to add. So the idea that you create an electronic quiz in K-State Online in order to print it and deliver it on paper in the classroom has been hard for people to grasp, and rightfully so. Again, if you consider it the way the previous Scantron workflow worked, people did it exactly that way. They created a paper version, they delivered it, and then they came to K-State Online and created the electronic version second. So this has been hard for people to wrap their brains around, but what we want to encourage is build the quiz in K-State Online first, and then tell Scantron, the Scantron tool, hey, I've got a quiz here, and I want you to make it into multiple versions and manage it for me. And the advantage of that for all of us is that your quizzes are the same, as I said, whether they're Scantron or not, and maybe more importantly, your students' results when they go to view them online are the same for a Scantron quiz versus any other quiz they take. And your analytics and reporting details are the same for Scantron as they are for any other quiz that you might make online. And that means that we gain more consistency for all of us, which is hopefully an advantage for learning and learning to use that tool and using it over time. So this has been the problem, or the issue, is people don't know, because they've already had existing Scantrons and they were used to the classic workflow. They don't know that we've sort of switched the game on them and said, we'd like to encourage you to create a quiz first and then let that become the Scantron. So we have been working with people to understand the intersection of those, the old former ideas and the new ones. Obviously, new people coming into K-State, never having done it the old way, this will probably make a little more sense. So I'm going to stop talking and get in here and show you how this works. So first of all, on the documentation here, it says there's 2 things. If you already have the paper version and you need to create a matching answer key, you do it one way, and we'll talk about that. But if you have not yet created the answer key, as I just said, we recommend you start the process by building the quiz in K-State Online. So the Scantron workflow here, it says first, begin by creating a quiz. And as I indicate up here, you can either have the idea that you're just going to create sort of an answer key, or you want to create a brand new quiz. And so I have instructions here for a variety of ways, 4 different ways that you can do this. And maybe the most relevant detail here is that many instructors, and again, rightfully so, I'm going to plug in my laptop real quick. Run out of power here. Rightfully so, many instructors don't, regardless of how they manage this, they don't want their questions to be online. So the simplest and fastest method today, in the absence of this bubble answer key creator that we're going to put into Scantron in the next few weeks, is to follow this process A. And what we recommend that you do is you download and start with this example Excel file. And I've already got it open here, and it looks like this. And this is indicating that I have multiple choice questions, that they're worth 5 points each. I do not want my question bodies in there, so I've just written Q1 through Q10. If I want the actual question body there, I can write out the question.
Scott, I'm going to stop you for a second. We are not seeing that Excel document.
Oh, because thank you for telling me. I bet I'm not sharing. I bet I shared my browser only. Thank you. Sharing my whole desktop. Okay. We see the spreadsheet.
Yes, now we can see it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm jumping back to the browser now to say that these column details are explained here, and I think it's been pretty clear to people. The question type, multiple choice, the point value, my question body. In this case, I don't want to put my questions online because I want to help control those getting out into the wild to help prevent cheating in my class. These are the correct answer position, and these are the possible answer responses, A, B, C, D, or E. So this is indicating that B is correct, B is correct, B is correct, C, B, C, B, A, B, D. So once you have this, you simply, in most cases, just change the single column for each of your quizzes. Maybe you have more questions or whatever. So again, I'm going through this kind of fast, but I've built sort of a simple Excel spreadsheet that, as close as possible, currently approximates the creating a bubble sheet answer key. This is the best I can offer right now for speed of creation until we get this bubble sheet answer key in. So I make this spreadsheet, I reuse this template, hopefully, and then I use the same QTI converter that I use to convert my quizzes from Classic. Our quizzes in Classic or this spreadsheet all need to be in this QTI format that is importable into K-State Online. So I quickly perform that conversion, and then I can leave this tool and go to K-State Online. Let's go get my browser back up here. And I'm going to import this quiz real quick. And then while I'm doing this, what the important point I want to make is that, again, many people, and we encourage people to start by making the quiz either this way or by actually, building a quiz in K-State Online the same way you would build any other quiz, authoring the questions, etc. So I am going through the steps that are outlined. Sorry, in this step, create this Excel spreadsheet in this way, then convert it, and then go import it into K-State Online in order to create this quiz. But I'm glossing over this a little bit in the interest of time here to kind of speed through this. So, sorry, there I am. So that's been imported, and I go to my quiz tool in K-State Online, and here is that quiz that I just made. Let's take a look at it real quick and see that it matches. That is not the one that I just imported, obviously. That is the other example that I had made. I apologize. Back to my quiz list. It's this one, sorry. I apologize. So there's my Q1 through Q10 with my sort of simple items. And if I submit this real quick, I'm just doing that in order to see the answer key, submit my preview, because it'll show me my answer key. I can confirm that these were the one that I imported. Okay, so long story short is I make a quiz in K-State Online, either by import or by authoring a quiz in the way that I normally would. And then I go to the Scantron tool, and I tell that Scantron tool, hey, you guys, I want to create a new Scantron, and I want to build it out of the quiz that I just gave you. So here it is. And if I want more than one version, I can declare that. I can say, hey, I have 2 versions. and Scantron can turn this into multiple versions for me. In my example today, I've just made this a single version. So I'm going to select the quiz that I built, and I'm going to submit that. And then again, it lets me confirm, is this the thing that you're talking about? Does the answer key look right? Is everything okay? And if it is, I say, yes, save this. I would like to use this as Scantron. And then it shows up here as a Scantron available to me. And then I can go, and it says 0 points right now. That's one of the bugs that we're fixing, even though it has points. So I can go in here now and I can print this. If I had started with this, like I said, I could print this. It prints smartly. It doesn't break in the middle of questions, etc. You can also export it to PDF so you can make modifications to it. One of the changes we are working on based on feedback is we're going to export this to Word, because more people are comfortable editing in Word than they are in Adobe PDF. So we're going to switch from PDF to Word so that more people are comfortable editing this. But note that the print step is optional. So if you've already printed these, or you already have a copy and this is just a model of that copy, then you don't need to print them. This is just a convenience print. So I have printed this, or I have not. I had already had copies. Sorry, my laptop just fell. And I gave that to my students in class, and now I am ready to upload my responses. So I'm going to go back to the front here. I would come to the Scantron tool. It's been 3 days. I've given the exam. I've scanned the cards. I find my Scantron quiz. I say I'm ready to upload my responses, and I browse, and I pick the responses from my students. And just like always, I get the ability to match. And I had an extra person in my results with no WID. So I don't have, every one of my students is matched here. So I don't have anybody unmatched. So I'm going to confirm that. And now it's saying, okay, Scott, everybody's lined up. We're ready to grade. And another change that we're making based on feedback, instead of push responses to Canvas, this button is going to say start grading my Scantron. So I push this button, and it's, of course, giving me an error. I apologize. Oh, I know exactly what I did. This is a bug that we are actually, it'll be fixed at, it probably is being fixed right now. It's going out at 3:30 today. So I apologize. I ran into that bug. That is my fault. I didn't set up my answer to work around that bug, and I apologize for that. Let me take a completed one here. So I push those results through Canvas, and K-State Online scores them. Some of you may have heard the discussion that this new version of Scantron is slow. We have been able to solve that problem. We've been able to make it as fast or faster than the old one. We were able to grade an 800-person chemistry class with a 50-question quiz in about 5 minutes. So it is pretty speedy. I hope that's also one that I haven't set up. So again, I apologize. I thought I had set up a good example, and here I'm finding that I had not. Okay, so I'm going to upload a response here. And I'm sorry, it looks like I have created a scenario, and oh, there's my problem right there. Okay, I do have I think I have the right file. Again, I apologize, y'all. Here we go. Clicking on the one that I just created, uploading the response, which is this card, the scanned card file that I get from this. And that is not it either. I'm sorry, I have it right here. Generated responses text. That is the one that I want. Generated responses text. Making sure I didn't. Aha, there. That's what I was saying. Was I think I'd saved extra lines in it, and that's the part we're fixing. All right, fixed. All right. Apologize. So I know I don't have any matches to fix, so I'm going to jump past that and push these responses to Canvas. Darn it. I'm sorry, everyone. All right. Let me just stick a fork in that. So what happens is it goes off and grades those, and then this is the good news. I'm done with the Scantron tool, and as referenced, it used the quiz. So now all of my analytics, all of my results, all of my control still reside here in the quizzes. The quiz statistics are available here. This is where the item analysis is both visually represented. So you can quickly scan and see. This is obviously not a very good example, but I can also download and use the item analysis directly. I also control the release of the quiz here. I have not mentioned this yet. The detail is when you start processing the results against this, we do several things for you. The quiz becomes published at that moment. You did not have to publish a quiz. The quiz becomes published. We also lock it with an access code, as you can see here, and that prevents any students who happen to be online in your class at the time it's being graded, that prevents them from getting in here and messing with it. And then finally, we mute this assignment in the gradebook. And for those of you that don't know what muting in Canvas means, this is a muted assignment, and a muted assignment means that you haven't released the grades yet. Students do not see the grades in a muted assignment. So once this quiz is processed, then your job is to unmute it to release those scores and the answer key. And here, this block is where you control the answer key. I do not want students to see the correct answers. I maybe only want them to see their quiz responses. That means they'll see you answered A and you got it wrong. If I check this box, it will also say, and the correct answer was D. So this is how I control the releases of my result set, is by unmuting and managing the responses. And this is also where the quiz is also where I get my analytics, any of my item analysis, etc. And then this is also a bonus feature that never existed in Classic. This is where I can accommodate people electronically who might not be able to take a Scantron. I can give them the electronic version because it exists electronically now, or I can print it out and do a paper version, etc. So you have options to manage. Okay, I'm running out of time, so please, any questions, I am happy to take them, show you anything, answer any questions.
So yeah, at this time, anybody can either type a question into the chat box, or you can just unmute your microphone and ask it that way. Any questions?
It's kind of a deep topic, so.
Scott, would you maybe put up your contact information in case someone wants to contact you after this?
Absolutely, excellent idea. And again, I welcome that because it is entirely possible that your questions are sort of deep. Curtin@ksu.edu is my email address. I am Scott Finkeldye. And if you contact me via email, I will arrange a time to come to your office or meet you wherever it's convenient, or meet you and several people, and we will show you Scantron. I'll train you and anyone else on how to use it. I'll answer your questions, and I will explain anything that other related to K-State Online that you might have. Any other questions?
Okay, one question that did come in, when did you say the new version would roll out?
Great, thank you for that question. So today at 3:30, which was just a few minutes ago, we released a number of updates and fixes based on feedback. We've fixed the way some of the matching works, like the widths are in numerical order, so you don't have to jump around and find things. We've improved some of the button labels and text on the screen. We've made getting to the quiz statistics from within Scantron easier. We put a link right over to it. Those all are going out today. Over the next 2 weeks to 3 weeks, we're going to be building that bubble answer key sheet that I described. So I expect that to be done by mid-March at the latest. We'll do a little testing by end of March at the worst. I expect to have the bubble key and the card view out and inside the Scantron 3.0, and that will address a large number of the issues and concerns that people have. Then the next thing that we'll do after that is add the printing to Word instead of PDF. And then the thing that we're going to do after that is we're going to make some additional improvements on how you can print and manage your unmatched students that you're unable to match, so that maybe you have to go have them do another card or something like that. That'll be out by the end of March at the worst, absolute worst. I will be publishing updates in K-State today and trying to be more transparent about what the state of this is. Good question. I'm looking to see if there's other chat questions. Okay.
Okay, I don't see any other questions at this time. So I think, Scott, we're going to go ahead and wrap up your session.
Okay.
I believe that Lisa Crawford-Kraft, our presenter for next week, is online. Scott, if you want to stop your screen share, and then Lisa, you can unmute your microphone and then tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking about next week.
Thank you. Next week, we're going to be looking at OneDrive. OneDrive is cloud space, storage space that's available to everyone at K-State. We've been given a terabyte of space for free, so it is a resource we should be utilizing. In the session, we're going to learn how to save, organize, sync, and share documents. So we'll go over creating folders, organizing files, sharing files, syncing, creating new documents, lots of different things that we'll learn next week about OneDrive.
Awesome. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us today and giving us that little update for next week.
Thank you.
Once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. If you know of anyone who might have missed this session and wants to view the recording, we will be posting it on our website, and I will share that really quick with everyone. So if you go to our Tech Tips website at k-state.edu/its/tech-tips-live, it will be found under the drop-down arrow for the Scantron session. Let me make sure there wasn't one more question that came in. I think that will do it for today, and hope everyone can join us next week. Thanks, everyone.